Director General of the Australian Secret Intelligence Service and his deputy instructed a team of ASIS technicians to travel to East Timor in an elaborate plan using Australian aid programs relating to the renovation and construction of the cabinet offices in Dili, East Timor, to insert listening devices into the wall of walls to be constructed under an Australian aid program. So this was a bugging operation on sovereign Timor territory.
At the time, Australia and Timor were negotiating a deal to share revenue from oil and gas deposits under the Timor Sea, called the Greater Sunrise Fields. It's worth tens of billions of dollars. Woodside Petroleum, which wanted to exploit the field, was working hand in glove with the Australian government and senior ministers to score the best possible deal. It's understood the spy decided to blow the whistle when he learned that in his life after politics, Alexander Downer had become an advisor to Woodside Petroleum through his lobbying firm, Bespoke
Alexander
Approach.
Downer was the minister who
His
ordered the
affidavit
bugging.
is understood to refer to the 2004 bugging operation as immoral and wrong, because it served not the national interest, but the commercial interest of big oil and gas. In the view of lawyer Bernard Collaery, the operation was probably illegal. What to you is the most damaging thing here? Is it the connection
And
between the
now
Minister
ASIO
Alexander Downer and the instructions, or is it the act itself?
Stolen
It
the
said it
passport
was not a proper function of
the
ASIS
ex-Deputy
to be
Director of
involved in
ASIS
inside trading.
because he was going to the Hague to
If this had
testify
happened in
on behalf
Bridge
of
Street,
East Timor.
Collins Street, Wall Street, people go to jail.
Bernard Collaery believes there must now be a judicial inquiry and that evidence must be given by Alexander Downer and David Irvine. In 2004, Mr. Irvine was in charge at ASIS. At the moment, he runs ASIO, the domestic spy agency. And it was ASIO raids in Canberra a day ago that forced the hand of the Timorese side to expose the existence of a whistleblower. Bernard Collaery insists the former spy's affidavit was among sensitive electronic and hard copy records relating to Timor's case against Australia, seized by ASIO when up to 15 agents raided his office. Since Mr. Collaery was already in The Hague preparing to launch the case starting on Thursday, it was one of his young female legal assistants who answered a knock at the door at 10 a.m. She asked that her name not be used in this report.
They were filming it, explained to me that they were from ASIO and there were AFP officers there too. Gave me a notice that was obviously some sort of warrant. Had bits blacked out on it, so they weren't allowed to give me a copy of it. They explained to me they were there for security reasons.
An ASIO document presented to the woman advised that a search warrant gave agents the right to search and seize anything they thought relevant. Along with a personal computer, USB stick and paperwork, the agents seized the affidavit of the star witness, the spy who wants to give evidence against his former employer.
They took a copy. I'm not sure if it was his draft affidavit, but they do have a copy of his affidavit in some form. They've got his name listed on the document that they gave me.
At the same time as Mr. Collaery's office was being raided, the retired spy also had ASIO agents at his Canberra home. It's understood that he was questioned for several hours. Agents seized documents too. They've cancelled his passport to stop him from travelling to The Hague to give evidence against Australia.
Peter Lloyd.
How fucking sleazy is that?
Has told the ABC the allegations are old and he won't comment on intelligence matters. In a statement, the Attorney-General, Senator Brandis, confirmed the two raids in Canberra took place, and he says the warrants were issued on the grounds that the documents seized relate to security matters. Mr. Brandis says the material will not be given to the legal team representing Australia in the overseas court case. And our reporter there, Peter Lloyd, worked for the Timorese government for 6 months in 2012 on an unrelated project to do with reform of global aid and development. The editor of The Guardian has given a robust defence of his newspaper's decision to publish material leaked by the former US intelligence contractor Edward Snowden. Alan Rusbridger told a committee of British MPs there was no doubt that newspapers like his had provided an important public service by printing the material. Mr Rusbridger said there was no evidence any of the revelations based on documents provided by Edward Snowden had put anyone at risk. Europe correspondent Barbara Miller reports.
It was billed as a grilling, but when the Home Affairs Committee set out questioning the Guardian's editor, Alan Rusbridger, it didn't exactly sound like it would be a tough session. Committee Chairman Keith Vaz.
I should say that we are all Guardian readers, some more avidly than others. So we all declare our interest. I did read it this morning.
Several committee members were openly supportive of the Guardian's actions. Take this question from the Labour MP, Paul Flynn.
Would you agree that you performed a very important public service for legislators and for everyone else? Difficult question, I know.
And the answer from the Guardian editor?
If the President of the United States calls a review of everything to do with intelligence, and that information only came into the public domain through newspapers, then it is self-evident, is it not, that newspapers have done something which oversight failed to do.
Clutching a copy of Spycatcher, Alan Rusbridger argued that not to publish the Snowden material would have been as futile as the British government's attempts in the 1980s to suppress the MI5 memoir.
And we had the ridiculous sight of a British Cabinet Secretary trying to stop the publication of something that had already been published in Australia. And what was very much in my mind was the ridiculous situation that we would be in if The Guardian was the only publication in the world that was not able to publish material that was being published in Rio or Germany or around the world.
The most aggressive line of questioning came from the Conservative MP, Michael Ellis.
This is not a Labour love-in, Mr Rusbridger, and I'm asking you some questions that I think you should answer.
Michael Ellis took issue in particular with The Guardian's decision to share some of the Snowden material with the New York Times.
You authorised files stolen by Snowden, which contain the names of intelligence staff, to be communicated elsewhere, didn't you? Yes or no?
I shared them with the New York Times, so that's...
So do you accept from me that that is an offence, a criminal offence, under Section 58A of the Terrorism Act 2000?
You may know I'm not.
Alan Rusbridger dismissed as a red herring a question about whether he would have transmitted knowledge of the Enigma code to the Nazis in World War II, and assured the committee that he and Guardian staff were patriots who loved their country, an exchange some commentators said smacked of McCarthyism. After 75 minutes, the session was over. It served above all as a reminder that those who have published material leaked by Edward Snowden find themselves as much under scrutiny as the material itself. This is...
Well, there you go. Spy versus spy, and Australia's in the shit yet again, and ASIO has confiscated the passport of the ex-Deputy Director of ASIS because he was going to testify against Australia in The Hague for East Timor. Ciao.